Nos encontramos en Estocolmo, en el Congreso Internacional de Epilepsia, y con la doctora Martina Ninkorova, pediatra y neuróloga que trabaja en un hospital en Dinamarca, En un primer aspecto, ¿cómo definimos la epilepsia?
In one aspect, how we define or what is epilepsy? How can we define it?
How can we define it? Epilepsy is a chronic disease of the nervous system, which deals with the excessive irritability of the brain cells, which in its turn causes epileptic seizures or epileptic fits.
Hoy en día todavía son desconocidas las causas de la epilepsia.
Nowadays, they still are known the epilepsy, right? The causes of it. They're not that known.
I would say that there are many different kinds of epilepsies. There are more than 55 different types of this disease. It is not the one disease. There are many different. About 70% of cases are cases when we know what is the cause of epilepsy. But there are still about 30 to 35% when the cause is unknown, despite all our possible methods of investigation.
¿Por qué hoy en día la epilepsia está afectando a jóvenes?
Why nowadays is being affecting more the young kids or baby? Why they are? What's the cause? You can refer. What could be the cause? Or why?
Maybe it is not that much more than it was before, but I think it is just because our knowledge of epilepsy has changed a lot during last decades, and now we can better diagnose epilepsy, and therefore we know that epilepsy is a disease which affects not only adult people or elderly people, but also adolescents and very young children.
En Europa es Rusia uno de los países con mayor número de casos. ¿Por qué?
Here in Europe, Russia is one of the more affected for epilepsy. Why would be the reason there's more?
I have seen these statistics presented on the slide today, and also was wondering what is the reason for that kind of difference. Probably one of the reasons may be that in some parts of far away parts of Russia, the possibilities for diagnosis is not that high compared to the large cities like Moscow, St. Petersburg, probably. The territory is huge, and the population as well is rather big. So it varies from place to place. For example, Denmark is a rather small country, 5.3 million, and we have only one specialized epilepsy center. So more or less all these patients are concentrated in one place and followed there. So probably it's just some geographical reasons and some reasons because of the lacking of diagnosis, and methods of investigations are not similar in different parts of the country, perhaps.
La epilepsia tiene todavía un estigma en la población. ¿Cómo se podría solucionar?
Still the stigma in the population. How can we fight against it?
Some years ago, the International League Against Epilepsy has started the campaign which is called Global Campaign Out of the Shadows. And one of the purposes was to bring more knowledge to the whole population in different countries about epilepsy, about epilepsy's impact on people's life, and to educate the population about this kind of disease. And I think due to that, in many new countries have been found new epilepsy societies or patient organizations which help a lot to educate the population of each country regarding epilepsy, its treatment, and its influence on the people's life.
En el Congreso de Estocolmo, EISAI ha presentado los resultados del Fycompa. ¿Qué ventajas tiene con respecto a otros fármacos?
What is the advantage of the product being presented here in Stockholm? The EISAI, the product, the drug.
The advantage of the drug, you mean?
Exactly,
okay.
The advantage of the drug.
That is the last or the newest anti-epileptic drug which we have. One of the advantages, I think, is the absolutely new mechanism of action compared to all known anti-epileptic drugs. The second thing is that for the patients, it's rather easy to take medication. It can be taken only once per day in the evening before sleep, and it's very convenient and very simple, so it's also important from the practical point of view. And we'll have the results of some preliminary studies from different countries of Europe showing that this medication might be rather efficacious in patients including difficult to treat epilepsy.
Una pregunta para el futuro. ¿Puede ser erradicada, puede ser terminada alguna vez la enfermedad de la epilepsia?
A future question, could be eradicate the epilepsy? It's a future seeing that it can be eradicated, finish the epilepsy, and the future will be ending little by little. Did you see?
That's
You
very
can see a future saying we put less and less. Can you see that?
It's of course difficult to predict, but I would say that epileptology is making a dramatic progress concerning methods of diagnosis, methods of investigation, and as well treatment. For example, some 5-10 years ago, we could not treat at all some forms for epilepsy, but now we have the new therapeutic options which improved very much the patient's situation. We know much more about how this disease, starting in childhood, looks like in adult patients. So probably in some dozens of years we might reach the level where it would be possible to treat almost all types of epilepsy, I hope. And science goes on, and scientific knowledge, luckily, they also progress.
Mm-hmm.
Pues agradecemos la
We thank you
palabra
very much.
a la doctora Martina Ninkorova y que sigan las investigaciones sobre la epilepsia.
Keep up the investigation up and for the future.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Muy bien.